First on the list, Senator Robin Padilla, Christopher Bongo, Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingo Estrada, Lito Lapid, Francis Tolentino, and Cynthia Villar. They are putting us in a bad light, and I condemn this. And I take offense on this. Nakalagay pa, Senator Pia Cayetano is said to be supportive of reinstating Duterte's confidential funds if she can justify the need for them. This is not true. And I hope Senator Pia Cayetano will agree with me.
Dapat we have to made into account yung tao na responsable dito. Hindi lang na magsisente ng stern warning sa kanila, kundi the damage has been done. Lumabas na yung balita niya, nasira na kung sinong dapat masira, but I don't care kung masira ang reputasyon ko. Ang sa akin lang, ma-preserve yung ating reputasyon as a Senate.
And they caught several Chinese nationals that speak no English, nor Tagalog, nor Bisaya. Okay na sana kung Bisaya kasi taga-Caraga. Don't speak Bisaya, that have been able to acquire birth certificates from this town. So, nahuli ng NBI and they're looking at the syndicates involved. No?
There was a news report that identified 8 or 9 senators, and there were names on that list. 8 or 9 senators who wanted to restore the confidential and intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. And I wish to tell the people of the Philippines that there was no votation that happened yesterday with regard to the intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. In fact, we had an executive session, and I do not know who of our colleagues who scooped or leaked our conversation to this media outlet. I have been a senator here for more than 10 years, and this is the first time that I encountered a scoop or a leakage. I do not know. I do not want to name names. This is a violation of our rules, and the majority floor leader will expound it later. First on the list, Senator Robin Padilla, Christopher Bongo, Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingo Estrada, Lito Lapid, Francis Tolentino, and Cynthia Villar. They are putting us in a bad light, and I condemn this. And I take offense on this. Nakalagay pa, Senator Pia Cayetano is said to be supportive of reinstating Duterte's confidential funds if she can justify the need for them. This is not true, and I hope Senator Pia Cayetano will agree with me.
Mr. President, it is very unfortunate that this kind of incident happened within our midst. Number one, Mr. President, it creates distrust from among us 24 senators. Ibig sabihin, the next time around that we are going to have our caucus or executive session, hindi na ako basta-basta magsasalita. Baka mamaya, meron na naman maglilik sa media. So pangit po, 24 lang tayo dito na senador at hindi pa natin mapagkatiwalaan ang isa't isa natin, Mr. President. Number two, it tarnished the image of the Senate. 24 lang tayong hinalal ng buong Pilipinas at hindi pa natin mapagkatiwalaan ang isa sa atin na pwedeng nag-leak. If indeed, it was leaked by any member of the Senate. Kung ang nag-leak naman noon ay empleyado na nandoon sa loob, well, as a police officer, former police officer, Mr. President, I can vividly recall kung sinong nandoon sa loob. Dalawang staff ni Senator Angara. Si Mavic,
Oh, Attorney Mavic.
Attorney Mavic. At may isang kasama si Attorney Mavic na babae. So, apat silang nalalaman ko na nandoon sa loob. Magprangkahan tayo dito. Dapat, we have to made into account yung tao na responsable dito. Hindi lang na magsisente ng stern warning sa kanila, kundi the damage has been done. Lumabas na yung balita niya, nasira na kung sinong dapat masira, but I don't care kung masira ang reputasyon ko. Ang sa akin lang, ma-preserve yung ating reputasyon as a Senate. Hindi po maganda yung hindi tayo magkakatiwalaan dito. 24 lang tayo, Mr. President.
And the waiter staff, huwag mo kalimutan yung mga staff sa likod. Yung mga waiter din, yung nandun din sila.
Isama natin sa investigasyon
Isama
niyo,
natin
Mr.
sila.
President.
So if the chamber wishes, I can ask Senator Nancy Binay, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Ethics, to look into this closely, if it is all right with the body.
Yes, I support, Mr. President, I support the call of Senator Jingo Estrada that yung source nitong news na ito, if it is a politiscope, he has to be called before a hearing para malaman natin kung sinong source niya. At kung hindi siya magsabi ng totoo, I will be the first one to move for the citing in contempt of that media personnel, Mr. President. Ikulong natin yan kung ayaw magsabi ng totoo. Mr. President, this is not a laughing matter. This is serious. Filipino people are watching us right now. Sabihin nila, ganyan na pala Senado ngayon, hindi ba pagkatiwalaan? Sila lang nag-uusap, magli-leak pa doon sa media. It's very dangerous, Mr. President. Very dangerous. Masyadong akong dismayado. Thank you, Mr. President.
We agree with the gentleman from Davao, and that's why. If I may, to my distinguished colleagues,
Yes.
I also got a report, and I think Secretary should know this, that there was a town in Mindanao, particularly in Caraga, and I wouldn't want to divulge the town tonight, in fairness, so that we don't put them in a bad light until we find out the details. But accordingly, the NBI is already doing an ongoing investigation. That's why I don't want to name the town. But there's a town in Caraga which are giving out birth certificates, and they caught several Chinese nationals that speak no English, nor Tagalog, nor Bisaya. Okay na sana kung Bisaya kasi taga Caraga. Don't speak Bisaya, that have been able to acquire birth certificates from this town. So nahuli ng NBI and they're looking at the syndicates involved. No? And then that's the Register of Deeds, I believe, of the town issuing birth certificates, that they are from that town, and therefore from that birth certificate, obviously, the next item on the agenda for these people will be a passport. So, because they are now considered Filipino, having been able to acquire a birth certificate illegally. So, I would like to move that with the permission of the majority floor leader, that the pertinent committees, for example, the Blue Ribbon Committee, as well as the Committee of Senator Bato de la Rosa, Public Order Committee, take lead in coming up with a formal investigation on this, so that we look at the different aspects, not only from the DFA, but also from Philippine Statistics Authority, the Register of Deeds, Register of Deeds, sa register ng Civil Register, sorry, lupa pala Register of Deeds, Civil Register, Registrar of the towns involved that was told to me by the NBI.
Before we suspend, Mr. President, because I was just
No, not
about to
suspend.
start.
I was going to move to
Yeah.
bring them to recall the budget.
Okay,
So-
Mr. President. So I will make it formal, Mr. President. We'd like to move to reconsider the submission of budget of the Philippine Statistical Authority and direct the LBRMO to issue the necessary notice and inform the body of the schedule of the PSA's budget discussion. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. But just to wind up, Mr. President, and this is what I wanted to share with the DFA family. I have so much respect to DFA family, to the Department of Foreign Affairs, especially to Secretary Manalo. But you know, to hear this kind of incident happening to other departments, perhaps hindi na nakakagulat minsan eh. Unfortunately, we have heard this in the immigration, Philippine immigration, Mr. President. If you recall, when we conducted, this representation conducted the Senate Committee on Labor hearing 4 or 5 years ago, wherein we had that historic 1,200 human trafficking na nangyari doon po sa Clark. Tapos kinoment pa namin yung commissioner, Commissioner Argusino, if you recall, Mr. President. And then we found out there was a video with this guy waiting for 50 million bribe, Mr. President. And now, nung nakuha siya, binawasan pa ng 1,000, 49,999,000 na lang, Mr. President. So, yung mga ganon, minsan hindi na tayo nabibigla, Mr. President, pero if it happens to the Department of Foreign Affairs, medyo mahirap po isipin, Mr. President. Eh gaya po nung sinasabi niyo, Mr. President, face value pa lang eh. Hindi na makatagalog, hindi makabisaya, bihasa sa Chinese. Hindi ka pa ba mag-iisip na hakchaw ito, Mr. President? So, again, Mr. President, gusto ko lang sabihin, Mr. President, how many Filipinos, how many of our kababayans are still waiting for their passports? How many of them are asking for help every single day? Pagkatapos itong mga banyaga, ito na mga hindi natin alam kung ano yung mga klaseng pag-iisip mayroon sila, magkakaroon ng Philippine passport. So I just wanted to put on record that it's disgusting, Mr. President, and it's unacceptable. Kaya I hope and pray na may gawin ang ating departamento dahil nakakagulat po na ito yung nangyari sa Department of Foreign Affairs. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. And if before we recognize the minority